Good evening, listeners, and welcome along to Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 28th of November 2025. As always, over the course of the next hour, we will be looking at weekend's sporting action here in the Premier County in Tipperary. We're going to be speaking to Shane Brophy from the Nenagh Guardian, who joins me in studio. He's going to talk to us a little bit about what happened at the County Board meeting on Wednesday evening, some changes to age grades in Tipperary. We had a nomination for the GA presidency put forward. Lots to talk about there with Shane. We're also going to hear from the Upperchurch-Drombane camp ahead of tomorrow's Munster Intermediate Club hurling final. James McGrath will join us on the show later on. And we'll also be hearing from Orla O'Dwyer, former Tipperary dual star. She's down in Australia preparing for what will be her 5th AFLW Grand Final. That is taking place early on Saturday morning Irish time. So I caught up with Orla O'Dwyer earlier in the week. We'll hear that conversation, and Barry Drake will round off the show with our weekly greyhound racing update. So that's what's to come. We'll also be going through the fixtures and what's happening in other sports in Tipperary across the weekend. Very busy weekends in the world of rugby, soccer, even some darts to mention as well. We'll get to all that as the show goes on. But let's get started with Gaelic games, and I'm delighted to say Shane Brophy, the head of sport of the Nenagh Guardian, joins me here in the studio. Shane, good to have you here.
Good to be here, Paul.
Shane, you were in the Dome in Semple Stadium on Wednesday evening for the county competitions annual meeting of Tipperary GA. Lots of talking points that we're going to talk through, but maybe the main headline news coming out of it was we have a Tipperary nomination for the GA presidency in Ger Ryan.
Yeah, probably it was expected that Ger would put his name forward. I suppose we were just waiting for official confirmation, and that came last night when he was present, and he asked for Tipperary support to put his name forward. So I think he will be officially nominated at convention next month and go forward to Congress in February next year for Uachtaráin Tuffa. It looks likely that current Leinster Council Chairman Derek Kent will also be going forward. He hasn't officially confirmed yet, but it looks like he'll be one. And they were expected to be the two leading candidates. Whether there'll be a third name coming from around the country, we don't know yet. But at this stage, it looks like it will be Derek and Ger going forward to succeed Jarlath Burns in 12 months' time.
Yeah, and that would be probably a tough role to follow on, I'd say, from Jarlath Burns. But for Ger, looking at the press release that Tip GA put out, he has served every role pretty much there is to serve, from club, county, all the way to the provincial level, and even at a national level at the minute. Yeah,
absolutely. Like you'd say, from when he started out in 1991 as chairman of Templederry and right through with Tipperary, not just through County Board, but I suppose through supporters club and things like that, and then through Munster. I suppose he didn't go through in terms of being a chairman or vice chairman to Tippy. He went from Tipperary PRO to Munster Council delegate straight to Munster Council vice chairman and chair. So that's been his route, and he's worked on a lot of committees at Croke Park through he's currently the referees and previously the medical and scientific committee, which would have been very high profile back in his time, and and I think he's definitely very well respected. Currently, he's also the chairman of the Semple Stadium Management Committee. He took over from Con Hogan earlier this year, so he's definitely put himself in terms of in the right areas and formulating I suppose alliances and maybe relationships, particularly with you like to think that 5 other Munster counties will come on board, but it'll be particularly Connacht and Ulster, and probably the overseas units. They'll be the ones that'll ultimately decide whether it is Derek or Ger gets the vote, and hopefully from a Tipperary point of view it'll be Ger. And from a Tipperary point of view, also we're probably overdue, 1970 when Seamus O'Reen finished his term. That's 55 years, going on 56 years when next year comes since we've last had a Tipperary chairperson, so we're well overdue, as they say. And he's a very strong candidate.
He is, yeah, and he's kind of represented Tipperary very well in his roles, particularly in Munster in the last few years. So that's next February at the GA Congress, and then if he was to win, it would be the following year he'd be coming in. Okay, yeah. So there's another year left of Jarlath Burns as the presidency. Yeah.
But as Ger was said in his address last night, you're laying the framework in terms of what's coming down the line, and you have to think probably integration is going to probably fall under the next president's term, and hopefully for Ger's point of view, and like that'll be one. And you're probably looking at infrastructure development. There's a lot of grounds, particularly Semple Stadium, which he's in charge of at the moment, need a lot of infrastructure work as well. So, and all that requires money. So there's definitely, each president faces their own challenges, and definitely if you think from 2027 to 2030 with integration and facilities and merging all those things, that'll be a massive one.
Yeah, that would be a huge undertaking. So we wish Ger Ryan the very best of luck, and we might catch up with Ger maybe one of the days leading up to that Congress in February. But elsewhere at that meeting, Shane, lots of votes around different motions and structural changes to competitions around Tipperary. The main one was the age grades one. So from 2026 we won't have under 17, under 15, under 13. It will be back to under 14, under 16, and minor will be back to under 18. What was your take on that, and give us a feel of what the kind of topic of conversation was in the Dome in Semple Stadium on Wednesday night regarding that topic?
Yeah, I'd say it was probably expected how it would go through. I suppose the uneven age grades came in 2021. I'd say this has nearly been an annual debate since about, we should never have changed and we'll go back to even ages. And I suppose that the swell has been coming, and I suppose it's coming from other counties. That up to last night there was only 5 counties left that were still with uneven ages. A lot of counties had already since moved back to even ages, and I suppose Tipperary have followed suit now. It'll be, as you say, 12, 14, 16 and 18. And under 12 will be adhering to the Go Games model now. There will be no... Well, there will be finals as such, but it'll be more competitive, and making sure that every team plays the same amount of games. So what you'll probably have is you'll have some sort of maybe a finals day, maybe in Semple Stadium, maybe at some part of the year where every team will be involved. It'll be some kind of a final, but I think the key thing with Go Games is that every team plays the same amount of games, and every club, every player gets as much exposure as possible, and then championship will kick in at 14 as we've always had, and minor would go from under 17 back to under 18, and then the under 19 grade would be removed again. So it'll be essentially 17 and 19 merging back to old minor to under 18 and under 21 as well. So I suppose the interesting thing for me was what our Munster Council delegate Michael Burke revealed at Tuesday night's Munster Council meeting that they will be proposing a motion to go to Congress in February that the inter-county minor grade will revert back to under 18. Now that would be a big one. Like, was I suppose it would probably if it does happen for 2027, like, you would probably see the curtain raisers of inter-county games having minor games back again. Like, so it's like that's probably why you're looking for it. I know there's been a lot of clamour of maybe no curtain raiser Croke Park on All-Ireland final day, and like, there's no doubt it probably misses something, whether it's the minor finals. I'm not so sure, because like, I would be one of those who has actually enjoyed the minor finals being separate occasions, and we've had great days in Nolan Park, and we even saw this year 16,000 people in Thurles for the Waterford Clare final.
Yeah.
Would 16,000 people get tickets on All-Ireland final day? I'm not so sure.
Definitely
I think
not, yeah.
your terms of, okay, you might get a curtain raiser in, but how you create other issues there. So, but look, back to Tipperary. Look, we're back to even ages for next year, and look, I think Michael Tierney, the vice chairman of the county board, said that uneven ages was brought in for the right reasons. And I don't think it's a case of buyer's remorse. Like, I think it was well-intentioned changing it and maybe taking pressure off, maybe how would you say, exam ages.
That was the reason, was that it was brought in to
take the stress off exam. But it does seem now that a lot of the exam ages and leaving certs around at 19 years of age now, which is probably more an impact at under 20 levels. So maybe you're going back to 12, 14, 16 and 18 won't change an awful lot. It will be probably the 9. Maybe you're probably looking, if it's a minor inter-county goes back to 18, it shouldn't really have a massive an impact as it used to.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out in 2026, and Very interesting to see what will happen at the inter-county grade. If as you said, there's only 4 counties left at the uneven age grades, would we see a change at the inter-county level? Some other things happening on Wednesday evening in the Dome. Some other motions being voted on. We're going to have a Junior C County Hurling Championship in 2026. That was something a couple of clubs that kind of put in a motion for.
Yeah, I suppose it's just probably extending what's been there. Probably started in the North Division. I know the Mid and I think the West and the South have followed suit in the last year or two, that they've had divisional. I suppose you'd say while they're championships, they're officially competitions really, because they have, I suppose, a bit of flexibility in terms of grading. But from next year there will be county semi-finals and finals, which means that the divisional competitions will become championships in the same grading stipulations that you would have from Junior A and Junior B, in terms of you can't have played a higher grade will apply. So that'll come in for next year. I wish a county final played probably October, November time, a lot like Junior B as well.
Yeah, some other things voted on. The group stages of the County Senior and Intermediate Football Championship will have 12 teams in it, but 3 groups of 4. That was put forward. There's Clonmel Commercials wanted to go 2 groups of 6, but it will be 3 groups of 4 next year. Was there anything else that kind of came up throughout the evening?
Not particularly. I suppose the Clonmel motion, it wasn't formally debated because there was nobody to speak on it. So look, it'll be 3 groups of 4, senior football and intermediate football. A lot like on Cork, where you'll have the 3 group winners, but with 2 of the 3 group winners with the best records will go straight to the semi-final. That's how they'll determine it. And you'll have 2 quarter-finals, and same in intermediate football, and you'll have 1 team relegated each year back down. So in terms of, I suppose financially, Orla Hart, the treasurer, said that it looks like Tipperary will recording a small surplus at next month's convention when the end of the year accounts are revealed. So that's encouraging. I suppose those accounts would have closed at the end of September, so like there would have been elements of maybe fundraising that wouldn't, and maybe county final gates that wouldn't have come in. So, but it does, but they would include maybe the run to the All Ireland. So I would say expenditure is up, but I'd say commercial revenue in terms of fundraising and stuff would have been very, very healthy this year off the back of the All Ireland win, and I'm sure that will only feed over into next year's accounts too, in terms of fundraising activities such as the Quid game that's coming up as well in Templemore in Saturday week.
Yeah, lots of good news there. So coming from Thurles during the week. Before I let you go, Shane, we have kind of the main game this weekend. A lot of under 21 happening around the county, but Upperchurch-Drombane Munster Intermediate hurling final against O'Callaghan Mills of Clare. A game you can hear live on Tip FM, and thanks to Mother Hubbard's Family Restaurant on the Old Cork Road in Cashel. 5 o'clock in the Gaelic Grounds. Just looking at the results, these games are often very hard to call in terms of teams coming from different counties. They haven't played each other. Hard to know how they'll sync up on the field on Saturday evening, but from looking at the results, both of these teams seem to be well able to come through tight, narrow games. Upperchurch 3-point winners in the semi-final. I think O'Callaghan Mills were 2 or 3 point winners in the quarter-final and semi-final. So very interesting game lined up here on Saturday evening. Yeah,
they seem 2 very, very evenly matched teams. I say, but as you say, battle hardened as well, having the roots they've come through. And I suppose from Upperchurch-Drombane viewpoint, like their main aim this year was to get back senior, and they've done that. And born off the back of a very, I wouldn't say defensively, but very defensively tight team. They don't concede many goals. They really other teams really have to earn every score they get. From a Tipperary point of view, it would be great if it were to win. You have to go back to 2012, the last time a Tipperary team won this competition was Silvermines. And since then, I suppose through grading issues and the amount of senior teams we've had, and I suppose having our intermediate representatives going through for so long. Now we have our premier intermediate team, so you have, for the second time in 3 years, we had Rossgrey in the final 2 years ago, lost to Monaleen. Cashel 3 years ago. Cashel in the final 2 years ago, they lost to Rother Grassell. It just shows you that our premier intermediate champions being our representatives, it gives us a better chance, and because they're better able to compete against other teams. Okay, it just shows you Rossgrey and Cashel weren't able to win, but they were thereabouts. And I would say Upperchurch, against O'Callaghan's Mills. Like, the Clare teams are always very, very competitive in this competition. I think the bookies have the O'Callaghan's as marginal favourites, which look, Upperchurch, they're comfortable with that. They were underdogs in the county final, they were underdogs against Ballinhassig. So, well, it would be great. Like, you think if you could win, you're only one game away from an All-Ireland final and getting a run out in Croke Park in the new year, which would be great for them. And hopefully Upperchurch can do that for us on Saturday evening. Yeah,
it would be brilliant. That's Saturday evening, 5 o'clock in the Gaelic grounds. We will be speaking to their coach, James McGrath, after the first ad break. But Shane Brophy, thanks a million for joining us here on Across the Line.
Pleasure.
Now let's just take a quick ad break and we'll be back speaking to James McGrath from Upperchurch-Drombane and continuing our chat about Gaelic games after these. And you're very welcome back to Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 28th of November 2025. Now, massive game taking place in the TUS Gaelic grounds on Saturday at 5 o'clock. That is the Munster Intermediate Club hurling final. Upperchurch-Drombane representing Tipperary. They're taking on Clare side O'Callaghan's Mills. And that game will be live here on Tip FM tomorrow, with thanks to Mother Hubbard's Family Restaurant on the Old Cork Road in Cashel. Ken Hogan will be joining myself on commentary there for that one. But to look ahead to that game, I'm delighted to say I'm joined on the line by Upperchurch coach James McGrath. James, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Paul. Delighted to be asked.
Yeah, good to have you on, and brilliant to be looking forward to Munster Intermediate hurling final this weekend. I'd imagine around Upperchurch at the minute, when you're coming and going from training, I'd imagine there's huge excitement first around the parish and around the playing group.
Yeah, there is. There's huge excitement amongst the players, first and foremost, the ones I'd be kind of communicating with all the time. But there's lots of bunting around and lots of activity around the village and stuff. But in fairness to the club, they're kind of keeping their distance from us and they're letting us prepare as best they can, and they're looking after the logistics and all that in the background. But all in all, it's a very exciting time for anyone to be from Upperchurch, yeah, definitely.
What's it been like since the county final, let's say? Obviously, when you met in January to start and plan for the year ahead, it would have been county final, trying to get to a county final, trying to win a county final. And then what's it been like kind of after that as you venture into a new competition?
I suppose our mentality, Paul, is always the same. It is our focus all year was the first round of the county championship, and we didn't really focus much on what happened in the league, and we obviously wanted to play well in the mid-championship, and that didn't go great for us, but we always put our focus on the first on the county championship, and we felt every game we were improving, albeit we're extremely lucky to even get out of the group after that game up in Ballina. But sometimes you're underlooking. We got over the line, but every day we take the exact same process for the 2 weeks into games. It's just game by game, and we have our standard Tuesday, Friday, Sunday sessions, and we have the exact same process for every game, and we take them all as they come, and we don't change our protocol anyway. We follow the same strategy all the time, and it's the exact same for this game. And once we got over the line again, Ballinhassig, we took a few days off for recovery, and then we got a good session on Friday and Sunday and Tuesday night, and we're ready to go now. Yeah, it
probably simplifies everything in that sense, where you keep it the same no matter what game you're preparing for. But what's training like this time of the year? A lot of clubs are finished up a good while at this point. You're still going. Pitches are getting heavier. The nights are getting obviously shorter, or the evenings are getting longer. Shorter, I should say. The darkness is getting longer. What's it kind of been like for yourselves training in the last kind of couple of weeks?
We're blessed, really. We have fantastic facilities. The pitch is normally in good enough condition, bar deluges of rain, but we have good astroturf area that's fully floodlit. The pitch is floodlit. We have an upstairs area that we can train on astro as well. So our sessions are normally 45, 50 minutes anyway. We don't go over and beyond this time of the year, but all in all, the facilities you have are very adequate to what we want to do.
When we look down through your results this year, you mentioned that Ballina game. That was a kind of turning point. Obviously, you would have been out of the group stages if Gavin Ryan's long-range goal didn't go in. But since then, you've pushed on. But even in the games leading up to that, including that, and since, very tight games that you're able to find a way through. 2 3-point wins here and there, 1-point wins. It's a great sign of a team to be able to win those tight games. But is that down to anything, or is it just kind of the mentality of the lads? And it probably gives you huge confidence on the sideline, albeit you probably wouldn't want to be going through the tight games as a coach on the sideline watching on. But it's a great sign of a team.
Yeah, it is. Look, it's first and foremost, the guys are extremely fit and they're extremely good to look after each other and look after themselves. That's the key piece, that they're able to last out games. And I think just from a coaching point of view, it's just consistently up in the pitch on a Tuesday and Friday, doing exactly the basics over and over, and working our game plan all the time, and just having trust in the players. And the players trust where you want to play, and with their fitness level, they know if they're there, about 10 minutes to go or coming down the stretch, they know they'll have a chance. And then it's just about keeping your composure and keep working the ball to where you need to get good shots away, where you have a higher chance of scoring. And I suppose myself and Liam are there on our fourth year now, and earlier in our first or second year, maybe we would have seen evidence of where players are kind of doing kamikaze type stuff in the ball, but we seem to have kind of matured an awful lot as a team and as a group, and we're just playing better as a unit. Like we would always say we don't have any individual stars, but we're the sum of all parts. And when you have a team with that kind of ethos, it kind of helps in those tight situations coming on the stretch, and ultimately you get your chances. And when the game was level again, Gortnahoe, they got one chance to hit the post, and we got our chance and went over. But when that ball came off the post, I think we had 6 consecutive passes up the field in the last 2 plays of the game, and got a score just outside the D, to win the game. So at that point of view, it was very, very pleasing, indeed.
Yeah, and I'd imagine another pleasing part, when I look at this Upperchurch team, you see 15 lads who are just fighting tooth and nail for every ball. You could see Paul Shanahan up on the edge of the square catching a ball, and then he could be back down the other square getting a hook or a block in. It's that kind of team, and it probably lends its hand to this time of the year where games often turn into just work rate battles at times with the heavier pitches and less room to kind of strike, and the ball isn't moving as quick. I don't think this team will have any sort of a fall off in terms of when you're in winter hurling now because of that work rate, but that work rate isn't by fluke. I'd imagine a lot of work goes into getting the lads to that level where they're able to go 60 minutes and sacrifice maybe scoring a few points for getting a few hooks and blocks down the other end of the field.
Yeah, actually, look, I suppose go back to my initial point. First of all, you have to have the gas in the tank that's to last that 64 minutes, which they have. But they pride themselves on it, and it's probably things that they target as a group of forwards that they set the markers down from the start in terms of getting hooks and blocks and tackles and turnovers and all that kind of stuff done to kind of get them into the game. But ultimately, it's always been our ethos kind of to work hard and be the hardest working team in the pitch and pride ourselves in that. And then when we have the ball, that we're always trying to work it to the guy in the best position, and that there's no hero. We don't care who gets the scores as long as everyone is tackling hard and working hard, and that feeds into it. And I think our supporters in that too, they strive in that. And even in the county final tours, we could hear them, when the guys are getting them tackles in back to field, you could hear the roar up, and that kind of gives its own sense of drive to the team as well.
And as you're preparing for this game now, and it's similar to Ballinhassig, when you're preparing for teams within the county, you'd all have a fair sense of different teams, particularly in the Premier Intermediate grade from around the county, but now you're preparing for teams outside the county. Maybe you haven't seen much of them before. How have you found that process, and I suppose what have you seen from this O'Callaghan Mills side?
Yeah, I would actually have a small experience of the Mills. I'd follow the Clare Championship a lot. I've family living in Clare, and I'd be up around Cratloe a good bit, and I'd watch the Mills playing. I'd seen them in the county final only a few years ago, and I think a 6th or team were playing that senior county final. But ultimately, obviously, you with the club and all that, you can fall back on. But I suppose the key thing about O'Callaghan's Mills was, albeit, they might have just kind of had a point to spare in the Munster Championship against Tallow and Aberdeen, their performance on good ground inside Ennis was extraordinary. They were absolutely brilliant the same day, and that's with the game in the Gaelic ground on Saturday and the pitch in there in pristine condition. It probably really, really suits their type of game. They've two or three excellent inside forwards and big ballers in the half-forward line. So a midfielder, they got 6 points in play the last day and had 10 shots to the goal. But then when they come down the stretch and need to roll on the bench or roll off the bench, they can bring on Patrick Donlan, the All-Ireland winning captain from 2013 from. That gives them great experience. So look, we're under no illusions. They're a fine team. They're there on merit. They fell down and they bounced back up straight away. If they go the next year to get there, they're very formidable, very well coached, and it's not a task for us. But look, that's what you expect in a Munster final. So we'll go and enjoy it as best we can.
Well, James, we are all wishing you the very best of luck. You have Tipperary supporting you this weekend on Saturday evening, 5 o'clock in the Gaelic grounds. Thanks for talking to us on the show, and the very best of luck.
Thanks, Paul. Take care. Cheers.
Upperchurch-Drombane coach James McGrath there, speaking ahead of that game tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock, again live here on Tip FM. Upperchurch-Drombane against O'Callaghan Mills, 5 o'clock in the TUS Gaelic grounds, live here on Tip FM, with thanks to Mother Hubbard's Family Restaurant on the Old Cork Road in Cashel. It's also a very busy weekend of under 21 action around Tipperary. We'll run you down through what's taking place on Saturday. Also on Saturday, actually, before we get to the under 21, we have the County Junior B hurling semi-finals are finally taking place. It's been a long wait for these teams. We've had an appeal at the county stage, an appeal at the Munster stage, but finally these games are taking place. This is Saturday, both of them at 2 o'clock in Dundrum. It is Carrickswan against Silvermines, and then in Golden it's Thurles Sarsfields against Sullerhead. 2 o'clock start to those games. Also plenty of under 21 action tomorrow on Saturday in Holy Cross. We've Holy Cross Ballycal against Moycarkey Burris at 1 p.m. That is the mid under 21A hurling semi-final. At 2 p.m. in Kilcolman on Saturday afternoon, it is Burgess against Killadangan in the North under 21B hurling semi-final. Then on Saturday evening, Feathertown Park is hosting a double-header. You've Moyle Rovers and Clonmel Commercial squaring off in the under 21A South final. That is in football at 6:30. And then at 8 o'clock in hurling, it's Feathered against Knockmeal Down Gales. That is in the South under 21B hurling final. We move to Sunday then, and another busy day of under 21 action in the West. All these games at 12 o'clock on Sunday. You have in the West the under 21A hurling semi-final. That's Cashel Kincormac's against Golden Kilfeacle in Leahy Park in Cashel. And then in Latin, you've Latin Cullen Gales against Kappa White Gales. And Knockvilla Doneski Kickham's hosting Aerogue, Emily and Galtee Rovers combi. That's in Dundrum. They are both the West under 21B hurling semi-finals. The mid under 21A hurling semi-final on Sunday is Thurles Sarsfields against Borland Duala. It's on in St Patrick's College, also at 12. And in the North, there's 3 under 21 games on Sunday, all at 12 o'clock. Under 21B hurling semi-final, that is Killerone McDonough's against Newport in Clough-Jordan. And then both of the North under 21A hurling semi-finals are on at 12 noon on Sunday. Silvermines against Ballina in Dalla, and then in Bursalee it is Bursalee hosting Toomey Vara. So a very busy weekend of sport in Gaelic games, under 21 action, and those Junior B semi-finals around Tipperary this weekend. But it's also a massive weekend for Tipperary's Orla O'Dwyer. The former Tipperary Jewel Star is lining out for the Brisbane Lions in what will be her 5th AFLW Grand Final. This is on at 8:45 a.m. on Saturday morning down in Melbourne. The Brisbane Lions against the North Melbourne Kangaroos. It's the third year in a row the two teams will face in the final. In 2023, Brisbane Lions got the victory. Last year it was a 30-point win for the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Who will it be tomorrow? Well, earlier in the week I caught up with Orla O'Dwyer to talk through life in Australia at the moment for her, and obviously looking ahead to this big one tomorrow in Melbourne, the AFLW Grand Final. So here's my conversation from earlier in the week with Tipperary's Orla O'Dwyer.
Yeah, no, it's been a great season. I suppose the last kind of nine weeks we're on a 9 winning streak at the moment. So the AFLW out here is still not as long as the men's, so it's a 12-week season with finals. So we had a rough start of the season. We lost 3 games, so that kind of upset us a bit. But I think we kind of were still trying to find form, and we played teams that were strong opponents who've been in kind of semi-finals and finals the past couple of years. So I think that it's just getting used to it. Like, I think once you come towards the end of the season, those better teams are the ones that reach finals kind of shine through. So I feel like we just kind of trust our process and just kind of go from there. But yeah, no, it's exciting being another grand final. And I think from last year, losing one, I've lost 2 and I've won 2. So yeah, I know what it feels like and experienced both sides of it. So yeah, it just makes you want that bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's your 6th or 7th season. You know, you've played. This is going to be your 5th grand final, so you're nearly more used to the going the whole way than that.
Yeah, no, I think so there was 2 seasons in 22, so this is my 8th season maybe, or 7th. Yeah, so yeah, no, it's crazy how fast it's gone. But Brisbane Lions have been a successful team since I've been here, since I came in 2020. So yeah, it's kind of nice being part of it. But then I feel like you kind of ride the big waves, but you also ride the lows of losing finals too.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a second. And Joe, you've been there now 5 years and nearly 6 years, I'd imagine now, if you went in 2020. How has it kind of changed since you come in? I think conditions and that for players and things like that are much better now maybe than they were then, but the lifestyle and how's all that been for you down there?
Yeah, it's been great. Like, I think coming from Ireland, and I think a lot of girls, Irish girls who are out here would say the same thing about, like, we come into the competition so eager and so new to it all and find everything so fascinating. Just like the thoughts of having like your physios and nutritionists and such a structured plan. And when I came out in 2020, there was only 12 teams in the competition, so it was still kind of new, and there was about maybe 6 or 7 rounds and finals. So, and everyone worked as well, kind of part time. So, in 2023, we saw a real turn where there is kind of 12-month contracts, a lot more money going into it, a lot more resources going into it, and it's nearly a full-time job at this stage. So, yeah, the shift's been amazing since I've came, and being part of that growth has been huge, as well as having 18 teams now, the same as the men's. So, yeah, the competition's just getting bigger and bigger, and I think each year they're hoping to extend it a bit longer. So it's nice to be part of and see that growth so quickly as well.
Yeah, what would a regular training week be like for you in season? Are you an everyday thing, a couple of times a week? What's that kind of look like?
In season, kind of we vary it off when we play. So if we play like this week, if we play a Saturday, we usually have the day off after the game. Or say if we played a Saturday, like last Saturday, we played a prelim. You have the Sunday off. You go and train Monday, maybe some gym Tuesday, and then our main session is today, Wednesday, off Thursday. Captain's run Friday, which is just like a bit of a kick around and a bit of a gym session, and then you play Saturday. But I think the biggest difference is just you go in depth with reviews, and you've line meetings, and you have to do individual meetings, and then you have your team meetings, and you kind of chunk, and that takes up a lot of the time, as well as having I suppose physio check-ins or nutrition check-ins or massage. So you're kind of at the club. Definitely it would equivalent to like a 9 to 5, but just that hours would be different around that. But I feel like in season they try to refresh us as much as they can, and maybe keep things shorter in possible scenarios, and keep days a bit shorter for some girls. So yeah, it just kind of varies each week, but yeah, it's definitely going so quickly, and I think that's the beauty of it, playing every week. You kind of have to just go through the review, but then you kind of focus on the next team as well as you get there.
Yeah, you don't have time to dwell on losses or anything. It's just week on week and get back to it. But yeah, you mentioned yourselves you're on a 9-game winning streak. I was looking at it. There was 3 losses in the first 5 games, and maybe a bit of ups and downs, and including a game against the North Melbourne Kangaroos, who you're playing in the final. Did anything in particular change, or what's kind of led to this 9-game winning streak?
I don't think so. I think, like I said, the first we actually lost against Hawthorn, Carlton and North, who've all made finals this year. And I think we're just still finding our groove. There's been some positional changes, as you know, like as games go on, people find form in different positions. You kind of might try to tweak game styles a little bit, or try something new that's been working in pre-season. So, yeah, I think it's just kind of, as I said, just trust in what our coaches are telling us to do and the people around us. And I kind of think that we believed in ourselves from the start, and kind of to get here and be on a 9-game winning streak has been huge. But I think it's down to, like, when I came in 2020, majority of them girls are still there, so that there's a core group that we're so used to playing with each other now. And I think that having that kind of leadership and know those people around you so well, it makes it a lot easier to play with.
And when you're preparing for a game like this, like a lot of our listeners mightn't be aware of, the tactics and that behind AFL and AFLW. What are you looking at in the week up to a big game? Have you someone that you're going to be marking, or is there an area of the field, or what's the kind of tactical kind of things you're looking at in the week to a big game?
Yeah, so it's definitely different, and I feel like even Irish people watching it, we kind of watch with I do it as well sometimes, still watch with our kind of Gaelic football goggles on at times. But yeah, I think it's more just about like, I know back home you're more like, when you play Gaelic football, you look at kind of, you're either marking someone, and you kind of look at maintaining possession and keeping that possession. So but I feel like here it's kind of different. It's more about gaining territory, and also, like, there's also a reset between each goal, so then everyone gets a chance again. And I think it's just like, I've actually noticed the past kind of, especially this season, so much more of the kind of Gaelic football style of handball receives have become huge, and even mark play on, whereas usually in the past like a lot of players would have taken a mark, pushed back, maybe taken 7 or 8 seconds. And there's still certain teams who do that. Some teams go with the kind of kick mark style and like a slower game, but the key possession. But others like to kind of surge it forward and kind of just see what happens. And I think the shape of the ball makes a huge difference with that. Like I think we rely a lot on getting the ball in fast, where we such fast forwards, and even hitting it to grass is a win for us, and letting like the fast girls up front get onto it, because it can bounce anyway, and we just kind of back our pressure in that regards. But yeah, we kind of just look at that, and you kind of look at maybe there's what they do is they actually rate every team in every kind of stat, so disposals, contested possession, maybe transition from forwards to defense is ranked 1 to 18, so you can see every team's stats. So it shows a lot of other opposition, so you can kind of fine tweak that by watching vision to see how you can kind of win, I suppose, and get ahead of them.
Yeah, God, it is professional, but it's very, very professional in terms of
yeah, I still don't understand it myself.
in terms of how everything is looked into. But yeah, no, it's an interesting one. And the Kangaroos, like, you're on a 9 game. I think I looked up, they're on a 26 game winning streak. So this is the 3rd year in a row you've played them in the final. You beat them 2 years ago. They beat you last year. They beat you in the regular season, as we were saying. So there's obviously a bit of a rivalry probably building up there. There's a lot of Irish girls on their team as well. Vicky Wall, maybe one of the headline names that people would be aware of, Eric O'Shea and Blahin Bogue as well. But yeah, you get familiar with these teams as you play them a lot. So I'd imagine it's kind of a no love lost kind of a situation there.
Yeah, definitely. And in fairness, they've been an amazing team. Then they play the game really well, and I think yeah, they've won well as well most of their games. They haven't just beaten a team by a goal or two. They've kind of put them away. So yeah, it's definitely a test for us. And I think going in as underdogs kind of suits us, and we definitely are the underdogs going in this weekend. But yeah, and in fairness, like having the 3 Irish girls on their team, they've been nothing but amazing as well. Like even seeing them get into Blahin get into all Australian squads as well, and just seeing how they've kind of slotted into their game, but also added to North's game as well. So yeah, it's great to see. I think there's 3 Irish on both teams, so it's great to see a good balance of Irish players and influential ones being part of a team too.
And how are you leading up to big games? Would you be nervous in the days leading up? Do you just want to get to Saturday, or how do you kind of work around these big ones?
I think for me, I like being around people and being around the girls, but I also like my balance that with being having your own kind of routine and own time as well. So I think the idea of us being in Brisbane this week has been good, and then we're going to go down tomorrow, so we'll have a couple of days leading into it where we'll kind of stay together majority and stay in the hotel and stay around. But you also have that time to go off, and I have some cousins and family as well in Melbourne to meet up with and kind of get that switch off, because I feel being out here you don't really have much family and friends out here. You kind of rely a lot on the team for that regard. So when I do get the opportunity to have family out here or cousins in different other states, I always use that opportunity to meet them and just kind of switch off and focus on other things or hear from them or talk about back home as and see what's happening back there. So that's kind of what I go. But I think, yeah, naturally you're going to be nervous. And I think for me, it's not really until game day, and even our match is until 7:45 at night. So it's a lot of waiting around. But I think the nerves will really kick in once we arrive at the stadium Saturday night for me. But yeah, I think it's just back into what I've done and trusting in our teammates, and just kind of riding the waves, because it is a good position to be in, and I'm definitely grateful for it.
Yeah, and I suppose anytime you're talking to a sports person, there's no real day after the match in your head. It's all going to be lined up and planning for Saturday. But when the game comes and goes and the off season is there, what's the plan for the off season?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely I'm coming home for Christmas, and I like having that time back home. With the AFLW, we're actually lucky enough that we get a 5 or 6 month off season, so we don't go back to pre-season till May. So for me, I like going home for a good stint of it, and I'm actually going to America with a few of the girls for the Super Bowl, and doing a bit of America next year in February and January and February. So I'm looking forward to that as well, and then probably come back for a kind of pre-season to get into good position going into pre-season next year. But yeah, I think it's just kind of taking everything as it comes, and I think like that you don't really plan anything until after the season and you see what comes up. But yeah, definitely going home for a good stint and meeting up with family and friends is always a priority for me.
Did you say you're going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So there's a few of us going. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to go over it. I can't get over how big it is out here, and it's just like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's certainly one for the bucket list. I'm very jealous of that. Would you follow it yourself, or just kind of a bucket list thing?
No, I think a lot of the girls here have certain teams and stuff, but I'm kind of following bits of it, especially since this year. But even like the last couple of years, I've watched the Super Bowl finals, and you follow some certain players and follow it. But yeah, no, it's more. I think it's a bucket list thing, but it's also like it's such a cool sporting event to be part of, and I think being an athlete, you just want to see it on the big stage as well. So
that's incredible. That would be a massive thing to look forward to in the coming months. But for this Saturday, Orla, it's been great talking to you, and the very best of luck. And we'll be all in Tipperary cheering on the Brisbane Lions this Saturday.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
And that was my conversation with Orla O'Dwyer ahead of tomorrow's AFLW Grand Final. And a reminder, that is 8:45am start to that Irish time. So we wish Orla O'Dwyer and the Brisbane Lions the very best of luck in that one. And we're just going to take a quick ad break. After the ad break, we're going to be running down through the rest of the weekend sporting action in Tipperary. And Barry Drake will run you down through the greyhound racing update. All that coming up after these. And you're very welcome back to the third and final part of Across the Line here on Tip FM with myself, Paul Carroll, on this Friday, the 28th of November 2025. Now let's look at what else is happening around the county this weekend in the world of rugby. AIL action. Nenagh Ormond are facing a tough task. They're up in Dublin to play Division 1A league leaders St Mary's College. In Division 2A, Cashel welcome Greystones to Spafield. Cashel in 7th, Greystones in 6th, so big game there for Cashel in Spafield. And in Division 2C, Clonmel looking for 5 wins in a row. They travel away to Middleton. We wish all those Tipperary teams the very best of luck, and all 3 of those games getting underway at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon at 5:30 inside Thomond Park. It's going to be busy around there with the Munster taking on the Stormers, and also just over the road in the Gaelic grounds, Upperchurch-Drombane taking on O'Callaghan Mills. But Munster against the Stormers 5:30. New ins, Diarmuid Barron starting there at the hooker position for Munster tomorrow evening. Then on Sunday, we ran you down through what's happening in the world of Gaelic games, but in soccer, loads of games happening in the north of the county. 3 NTNDL Premier Division games getting underway at 11am. Ballymackey hosting Rare Cross, Shinrone travelling away to Holy Cross, and league leaders Ardcroney are at home to Moneygall. We also have one game taking place this evening in the NTNDL Premier Division. That is BT Harps hosting Sally Park, 7:45 kick-off time there. And BT Harps and St Michael's found out their Munster Junior Cup last 16 opponents earlier today. That draw was made, you might have heard it in our bulletins earlier today. But St Michael's are at home to Newmarket Celtic. That is a repeat of the 2023 FAI Junior Cup final, so big game there. That is St Michael's at home last 16 Munster Junior Cup against Newmarket Celtic. BT Harps, difficult draw they've been given away to Villa FC of Waterford, who are always at the back end of these cups, whether it's in Munster or at the national level. So those games are taking place between the 16th and 18th of January. But on Sunday then, we also have loads of games in the TSDL Premier League. Clonmel Town hosting Cashel Town at 11am. Also at 11am, Tumalt Burris are travelling away to Clonmel Celtic. 2pm then on Sunday, you've Cullen Latin hosting Peak Villa. And there's also one game in the Tipperary Cup on Sunday. That's at 12 noon in Kerr Park. Kerr Park hosting St Michael's there. And I did mention at the top of the show, we have some darts to talk about this weekend. It is the Lakeside World Darts Championship. So the Lakeside, really famous venue for darts going back, God, it must be 30, 40, 50 maybe even years at darts at the Lakeside. And we have a Tipperary man in action. Nina's Stephen Rosney, he'll be making his debut at the iconic darting venue. And that is going to be against Scotland's Jim McEwen. It's in the first round, and it's scheduled to get underway around 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. And you can watch that on the WDF Darts YouTube channel is where that will be. And we wish Stephen Rosney the very, very best of luck there. I'll certainly be keeping an eye out on how he gets on there. And we wish him all the very best of luck from all of us here in Tip FM. But now, at this time of a Friday evening, it's time to talk dogs with Barry Drake.
Tip FM's Greyhound News Update with Greyhound Racing Ireland, your Christmas party destination across the nation.
It's another busy weekend of greyhound racing with plenty of good action to look forward to over the course of the next couple of nights. And it all starts down at the Clonmel Greyhound Stadium tonight where they hold their usual Friday night racing programme that'll get underway at 7:30. Some nice sorts in action over the course of the night, and we're going to look ahead to race number 7, where trap number 1, Pappy's Jiver, was an impressive winner last time for trainer Adam Dunford and owner Patrick Nagle in Dungarvan. 28.75 winner on that occasion. If reproducing that sort of form, should take plenty of stopping there in tonight's 7th race. While in the following race, trap number 1, Marfield Rapido, was out of luck last time when finishing 5th, but was a previous 29.47 winner around course and distance, and from the inside of the track there, should make a bold bid from the that trap there tonight for Patrick Brady. So looking forward to tonight's racing action there at Clonmel. Switching our attentions to Thurles on Saturday night, they have some good action to look forward to, with the first of the night due off at 7 o'clock. In terms of selections for Thurles on Saturday night, we're going to look ahead to race number 6, and this is an A7 contest here, and trap number 3 was a recent winner, Cabra Iris. This one for the kennel of Paddy Scally, the local kennel, got off the mark for the first time last time out, and going on that form has strong claims of following up and making it back-to-back winning performances. That's the sole selection for Thurles there on Saturday night. Back to the Clonmel track there on Sunday night. They have their usual Sunday night racing programme down for decision, where the first will go to traps at 4 minutes past 6. Race number 3, trap number 1, Ascot Aaron. This one for Billy Murphy and Francis Mullen, was a 29.16 winner last time out, and from the inside of the track looks sure to go well once more. Comes here in good form and certainly not without a chance. While in the following race, trap number 2, Swift Haley for local trainer Aaron O'Hanlon, was a 29.24 winner last time out. Looks an improving puppy and should take plenty of stopping. Elsewhere on the card on Sunday night, moving on to race number 8. Trap number 3 here is of interest. Fox Rock Laura, who was out of luck last time out, owned and trained by Brian Bowe, has competed at a higher level, and this looks like a good winning opportunity at A4 level. Certainly should take plenty of stopping. Elsewhere this weekend, big racing action down in Cork on Saturday night. The €5,000 to the winner, Danny Corkery Memorial A3 A4 takes centre stage, and trap number 2 is the one to beat here, Droopy's Pablo. This one for Blarney trainer Johnny Linnen. This looks like one that could be worth following in the weeks and months ahead. Of course, looking back to last weekend, what a wonderful night, or 2 nights I should say, at Shelbourne Park, where massive crowds turned up to enjoy the Winter Racing Festival. There was plenty of Tipperary success over the course of the 2 nights, and of course it really was another fantastic advertisement for greyhound racing. Also this weekend, of course, looking ahead to Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, some good sorts in action as you would expect at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. Plenty of Tipperary contenders as well. Pat Buckley is represented with Sing Along Curly in the second race, and this one gets the nod here for Gilbert Anderson. It's been out of luck the last twice, but of course has posted 29.52 in the past for the Derby distance, and is definitely one to keep an eye on there in Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. Also, Pat Buckley is represented with Burgess Edward in race number 4. This was a nice winner last time when winning in 28.29, and going on that performance should go very close. Graham Holland, the champion trainer, has got Bombay Special running in race number 5, running from trap number 5. This was a nice performance last time when making it 3 wins from 4 career starts. Looks like a greyhound with a bright future and should take plenty of stopping in that race. Elsewhere in Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, of course, Graham Holland is represented with Bush Park Rodney, who runs from trap number 3 in race number 9. This is another talented sort and should go very close, although the one to beat there in that race, of course, will be trap number 4, Check for Cash, who's trained by Carl Ramsbottom, of course, the lead trainer, and also Hackney Matty, who's trained in Tipperary by Michael O'Donovan. That's another one to keep an eye on there on Saturday night. And finally, in terms of Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, Graham Holland, of course, is expected to have a couple of winners on the card, and he can race take race number 6 with Bartlemy Manu, who's owned by Sheila Mannix down in Fermoy in County Cork. Only finished 4th last time, but that was an eye-catching performance in defeat and looks sure to build on that. Definitely the one to beat. So a lot to look forward to over the course of the weekend. Some good racing action on the local scene, and we'll be keeping a close eye on the racing action at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night.
And many thanks as always to Barry Drake there for giving us a comprehensive rundown on what's happening in the world of greyhound racing, both here in Tipperary and further afield as well. That's just about all we got time for this week's edition of the show. Many thanks to you, the listeners, for tuning in, and all the guests for making the show possible. And a reminder, one live game on Tip FM this weekend. Tomorrow, Saturday, 5 o'clock in the TUS Gaelic Grounds, Upperchurch-Drombane against O'Callaghan Mills. Ken Hogan will be joining myself on commentary for that one, and our coverage is with thanks to Mother Hubbard's Family Restaurant on the Old Cork Road in Cashel. So until then, have a good Friday evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. But for this week's edition of Across the Line, it's bye for now.